Oh, hello there. Yes, well, turned out decaying body again, didn't it? Yeah. I'm trying to figure out if the eye drops that I've got are making my eye sore, or is it the fact that they placed a lens directly onto my eyeball last Friday? Don't really know anymore. Perhaps it's just hay fever. I'm just getting old. Anyway, a couple of things that caught my eye yesterday. I was intrigued by this in the Daily Express from James Wallace, CEO of River Action. I always have problems with people that call themselves a CEO, but in this case it's probably true. It's not one of those sort of migration concern things that's operating out their mum's bedroom. Anyway, polluting Thames water deserves its £122.7 million fine. Now we must fix a broken system, which basically says that we need to renationalise. And it's one of those inevitable, yes, the solution to all of our problems just always ends up as being socialism, doesn't it? It's rather odd. But the thing that got me about it and isn't so much that this was in the Express of all places, but the fact that the mainstream media and especially the legacy newspapers just don't want to mention the fact that it isn't necessarily to do with dumping the usual brown stuff in rivers. This is actually the fact that the company continues to pay out these enormous dividends on the basis of nothing whatsoever and rewards its executives on the basis of, giving out large dividends as far as we can make out. And finally, after 72 and a half years, Ofwat have decided to, that they might just do something about it. I mean, I've got a simple solution. You can just say to all of the people that run the organisation that if they don't stop doing it, we'll shoot them. There you go. I know sometimes political violence is just justified, isn't it? Along with a bit of political humour, one might say. The other one that caught my eye yesterday, which I'm sure is one of those things that will definitely backfire, is the enormous support that Mr. I'm going to burn Qurans outside things because I'm cross is getting. His case in inverted commas has been taken up by the Free Speech Union. You can see him here, really not understanding English customs. Now, the reason why I'm saying this for this particular guy is, you can read the story yourself, is he's an asylum seeker who doesn't speak English. Let that one sink in. Just think about that for a moment. He's an asylum seeker who doesn't speak English, who's currently under police protection, costing us, the taxpayer, vast amounts of money. Still, Toby Young has taken it upon himself, Lord Young's boy, oh yes, I know, to become his latest cause. I'm thinking very good luck with that, mate. I'm sure it won't backfire in the slightest. Just comes across as a very deeply disturbed individual who, I don't know. Insert what you want about migrants you don't like here. Also tickling my fancy yesterday was a little bit of one of those Twitter spats which you just love to see from right-wingers, which made me think about the very nature of right-wingers themselves, and I include those people on the right of the Labour Party and other organisations like that in that, okay? If you think about the crew at Spiked, okay, who have presumably at some stage a long time ago they actually were left-wing, but they just discovered that effectively it just didn't pay. So now they've abandoned any form of moral compass. I know that's my phrase for the week, yes, but or indeed any real sense of proper perspective and rationality, because that doesn't pay. And they're prepared to just do or say anything to further their own particular paymaster's cause. We had this from Sophie Corcoran, who has been a bit quiet since she was not sort of poster girl for all of them young people that are definitely going to vote Conservative about 5 years ago on GB News. Anyway, she was fairly badly treated by various Conservatives around her. God, I wonder why. And smarted and left the party. So now she's a sort of vocal reformy type, or at least partially. But you can sense, or at least I sense anyway, that she's starting to get one of those awful kind of things whereby she has a vague sense that maybe simply plonking herself down on one side of the line or another might not pay off. Anyway, I had this. There are lots of true Conservatives in Reform who oppose the two-child cap. Is Reform really an alternative to the Conservative if it pushes for Labour-like policies? Would I vote for a party that expands the welfare state and doesn't advocate for fiscal responsibility in a small state? Probably not. It's why I no longer wanted to vote Conservative, because they don't don't deliver on that message, but it seems Reform aren't that either. Yeah, and at least there's a modicum of principle there. I do believe. I mean, I vehemently disagree with her because I think she's just a bit of a petty racist when it comes down to it. But nevertheless, it's a reasonable position. If you do believe in a small state, then the whole populist thing does go out the window. Unless, of course, you're Nigel Farage and you're just interested in gaining power. Leave that one hanging. But she got this reply from Isabel Oakeshott. Yes, everyone's favourite economic migrant. There's a cap on how many times you can switch party without looking like a moron. You've exceeded it a while back. Yes. Isabel Oakeshott. Yeah, isn't she lovely? Isn't she just lovely? To which Rupert Lowe chimed in this one. Sophie raised a reasonable concern about the downright stupid reform policy of expanding benefits, and this is how the leadership reacts. Labelling a smart young woman as a moron. Unprofessional, unpleasant, unprofessional, unnecessary. I'm starting to notice a pattern, aren't you? Yes, I am. I do always notice a pattern with people like all of these people. These right-wingers are not necessarily the most moral people in the world, if I can just put it that way. And that libertarian mindset, which says basically it's a bit like the bloke who's burning Qurans, sticking two fingers up. They have that attitude to the world, and they don't care at all about other people. Realistically, other people can just go and die for all they care. I mean, ultimately, that's what this kind of stuff is about. They just don't ever care, and they always project that view onto other people. That's why you get all of those. You don't get it so much these days, but back in the heydays of kind of Brexit, you got all of those right wingers that would accuse anyone that was left wing of virtue signalling and all those kind of things. You're not really like that. You're just pretending. Yeah. No, some people are just nice. That's the way it comes down to it. Not necessarily all right, all left wing, spiked crew, etc. Anyone in the Labour Party on the right wing, Morgan McSweeney, all of that lot, just deeply odious people, because they assume that everyone is as venal as they are. And sometimes we're just not. Sometimes we're just quite nice. Sometimes. I mean, I can be as venal as the next person if I put my mind to it. But deep down, nah. One of my virtues, I think, is I never hold a grudge. I just can't do it. I mean, I feel hacked off if you punch me in the face for about 10 minutes. That's about it. I'm not going to come back in a year's time and burn your house down. One does get the feeling that Rupert Lowe, Isabel Oakeshott, Sophie Corcoran and probably Mr. Burner Karan, and certainly Toby Young, are exactly those people. And they would expect me to do the same. And they just can't quite get their heads round when you're not like that. I recall an old boss when I used to be a head who just couldn't understand that I was left-wing. It was just beyond anything he could get his head round that anyone would be left-wing. Well, we're not all old Etonians, are we? Anyway, do have a glorious day. Do try and, maintain your eyesight. Keep taking the pills just in case. And if pain does persist, maybe go back to your doctor. Have a good one.